Welcome to the Big Movement Podcast. If you're ready to create results and make huge strides in your business, finances, personal development, and health, then you're in the right place. Pushing past excuses and powering through procrastination can be a challenge alone. Here, you'll get the support, tools, and knowledge you need to get to the level you desire in your business and life. Let's get started with your host, Byron Ingram.
And welcome to another episode of the podcast. And today we have Chris Burns, who coaches entrepreneurs and high achievers to eliminate limiting beliefs and take courageous action. He's spoken at over 90 plus events across the U.S., dreams over 250 people, and in the last 10 months has interviewed over 150 leaders on his 12-hour marathon sessions. So we're going to learn how he does this and so much more. So Chris, welcome.
Thank you, Byron. Really excited to be here, and I'm fired up to be sharing this value with your audience and my journey. You know, I think that's the best place to come from is what's really happened to us, what are the stories, what are the events, and what are we living as an example, as role models, as leaders.
Oh, excellent. So what was this journey that took you to this point? Because everybody has one, whether it's small, big, or whatever, but everyone has that journey that takes them to where they are now. So what is yours?
Yeah, my journey started, I think the big things were when I was in the teenage years. I was playing a lot of video games because I'd been raised with my dad, you know, installing game demos on computers, really being fascinated by technology. And I started getting into video games, as I think most young men and even women do these days. And I was playing lots of video games, and I started going down this path of, I want my life to look exactly how I want it to, because in these video games, I had ultimate control over the characters. And when I started noticing when I stepped out into reality, into this 3D reality versus being on a game console, I started noticing that I wasn't as happy. I wasn't as in control. I wasn't as powerful. I wasn't as awesome, and the story wasn't as interesting. I had started believing about myself that I wasn't very powerful. I was this small little shrimpy kid in high school or junior high, and I started having these subconscious beliefs be reinforced that I'm not powerful, that I'm not liked, that I'm not popular, that I'm, you know, not a person who really is up to much in the world. So every time I would leave the video games, I felt like, man, why am I living in this world? I want to live in the video game world. I want to be there 24/7. And so every time I had to go to school, go to sports, go on vacation to the Caribbean or Hawaii or whatever it is, I started resenting my parents and life for making me do those things, for having to be responsible. And I just kept building up this resentment, and it started manifesting in my life in a lot of different ways. You know, really getting in trouble a lot more, partying, drinking. You know, like it like all this stuff, because I think a lot of kids do it these days. A lot of growing up kids, but it's really because they don't know how to healthily express themselves. They're not surrounded by good role models, good leaders, and they just don't know any better. So I didn't know any better, and I found that my self-expression happened by going to parties and going to raves and dance music festivals where I could just like unleash, right? And unleash the greatness that was lying dormant within Chris Burns. And so I kept doing that, and again, got into some trouble and kind of hit this rock bottom moment where I was at a music festival, and next thing I knew, I was in a really dark, scary place. And, you know, the charges were dropped, the case was dismissed, but while I was in jail, I had to call my mom and share with her that I had done something stupid. And, you know, I was young, stupid kind of thing, but when I shared that with her, I felt like my heart broke in half. You know, I felt like my heart ripped open. Like I didn't know what love was until then. I didn't acknowledge love. I didn't even believe it was real. I had become like an atheist and, you know, cast away God just to kind of get back at my parents, because they grew up very, you know, instilling those good values. Not that they were super religious, but like they wanted those good morals, good values, good lessons in me. And I started resenting them and resenting God and doing all this stuff. And I wound up in this really dark place. But having to call my mom and my family and letting them know where I was, and, you know, having them hear that and say it's still going to be okay, that we're going to get through this. One, I felt my heart break because I felt like the biggest disappointment, the biggest waste of space in the world. Like I was doing everything wrong. But I also saw that even when I thought people who would, leave me leave me high and dry kind of thing. Like, why would they ever want to, be with me or take care of me or anything like that after I did this stupid thing, right? But they still were there, and they still came from love, and they still wanted me to be a part of the family and get through it together. So I really got to see the demonstration of love when they did that, and that was super powerful for me to kind of start going back to the other side of the tracks, so to speak, and getting on the right side and empowering people. And really, while I was there in jail, I was there for like 2 days, but while I was there, I made a commitment. I made a decision to myself that I would never find myself in a place where I felt lost or stuck or disconnected or numb, like there wasn't anything worth living for. I made a commitment that I would never find myself in that place again, and just kind of going with the flow, going along with the crowd. And also, I would make sure that other people don't have to suffer from that. So after going through a couple years of entrepreneurship, doing network marketing, doing door-to-door sales, doing marketing, doing business analytics, I have my degree in electrical engineering. So I bounced around to a couple different fields. But after going through all that, I finally decided to become a coach, because I knew that if I'm going to succeed in life, one, I need to learn how to communicate with people, and coaches know how to communicate with others. They know how to inspire a vision. They know how to just really be there in their shoes with them, kind of thing, and understand them and help them take steps forward, help them solve their problems. Two, I had to know how to be a good leader. As a coach, you have to be a good leader and be the example, be the role model to have people take action. And then three, I knew I wanted to learn business. And the more different entrepreneurs and business owners I saw, the more I would succeed, because I get this new perspective. I get this new mindset. I master business by helping others with their businesses. So I started mastering those three things over the last 3 years, and just seen my life transform because of it. Been ups and downs, and we started a 12-hour marathon as a way to generate leads and grow the business, add more value to people's lives about 10 months ago now. And it's been an amazing journey. Just launched the podcast last month in November, and just blessed, man. Like things are definitely on the upswing and unfolding perfectly.
Now that is an incredible backstory to how you arrived here. And I think you hit on something that's extremely important, especially in today's world. If you look at how people interact with each other, it's that persona that you experience when you're playing online games. Because you think about how they communicate with each other online, that they create this vision of themselves, but in reality it's totally different, because there's that separation between what you see out there and yourself. And you look at how people communicate with each other, you'd think, wow, you would never say that to a person in their face, because probably you might miss some teeth as a result of it.
Yeah.
But people do it all the time. But it's part of that bigger issue when you're looking at people creating the future they want. You have to go all in and not just live one life here because it makes you feel better. You have to look in the mirror and dive in, and what do you need to fix in order to live the life?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That just becomes really powerful.
That was such a journey, man. Journey of healing who I knew myself as, like the thoughts that I was having about myself, the unconscious thoughts. That's one of the biggest things that we help our clients with is stopping that self-sabotaging, eliminating that, because so many of us are so good at bringing ourselves to our knees with criticism, with, the subconscious patterns, with talking crap about ourselves, with just not being good human beings. And like, we wouldn't talk to our friends this way, we wouldn't talk to the people that we care about this way, but somehow we've made it okay to have such a level of derogatory self-talk. And I love that we get to help people start shifting that and see that they have a choice in the language that they're using to create a different relationship with themselves, like healing themselves, loving themselves, having processes and habits and things that really bolster up our soul, bolster up our well-being, bolster up our mindset, so that we can show up in the world and exude more confidence and experience that emotional mastery.
Oh, excellent. And how do people begin to recognize the language of self-sabotage? Because so many people have been doing it for so long, they don't even realize it because it's a daily habit to them.
Yeah, really, it's a challenge for sure. Number one, I've been one of the most rigorous people on my own language, playing the game of life, winning this game called the language game, because I love winning whatever game I'm playing. Right, those habits of
Right.
winning and competition and playing games definitely have stuck with me, and I view life as a game. So number one, view your language as a game. Like you're playing a game, and there's nothing like if you aren't winning today, if you're not winning in this moment, it's okay, because there's life is a game. Life is a long journey. It's a marathon, not a sprint. We've heard that before. But how we can actually start noticing our language is to figure out what are the words that we want to be aware of. Usually a coach will be able to detect what's the self-sabotaging language that might be stopping you. But some of the most common language patterns are I can't, I don't know. Some people say I don't know a lot. Some people will make a statement. I'm going to achieve, I'm going to earn $10,000 a month in business this month. But, we'll see what happens, right? That but just negated all the energy and power of that statement that they just said. And really, there's a certain level of energy and like a vibration, a frequency behind the words that a lot of clients who come to Burn It Up coaching, they want that more confidence. They want to be able to project their message in a way that's sincere and it lands for people and it's authentic. And there's a certain dialing in that we can do on our own. We can just start asking ourselves or saying in the mirror, I love you, or you're awesome, Chris Burns, or I'm the best, whatever it might be. We can start practicing these things. And if we're saying it just out and about, that's great. But really looking yourself in the mirror and saying these things, you can feel when it doesn't resonate. You can feel when it sounds in your brain, in your mind, in your subconscious, like that's BS. You can hear that voice going off. So again, you can start to notice these things on your own. And there's a lot of blind spots that happen in our view, in our perspective in life. We're going. We're laser focused. This is how we think we're supposed to be going. And if only someone had educated us or enlightened us that we could, put $1,000 into Facebook ads with this specific Facebook ad and have it produce $10,000, we would take that action. But unfortunately, we have blind spots based on how we show up in life, how we've gotten to where we are today. So that doesn't even seem like an option for us, right? So many people are out there trying to figure out the business game, whatever, life game, relationships. And if you don't have the access to surpassing your blind spots, usually a coach asking, why do you say that? Why do you think about that way? Why is that perspective running the show right now? If you don't have that coach, it's really difficult. But you can find accountability partners, you can find masterminds, you can find mentors, you can find other arenas like Toastmasters to start getting in there and speaking and watching your speech, watching your language, and being more intentional and purposeful with it. But really, it starts with noticing, number one, and then having a commitment every time you do notice that something is off, every time you say the word I can't. Number one, have forgiveness and grace for yourself. Say, all right, that's right, Chris. You've been programmed with that word for your entire life. It's no big deal. And I'm committed to shifting it, right? Don't let that detract from your commitment. Forgive yourself, like know that it's not the end of the world, and know that you're committed to shifting it, and then replace it. Because you have to replace the language, or else it's going to keep coming back up and up again. So if you ever feel like you said something that was dumb, if you ever feel like your language isn't powerful, if you ever feel that you just you think that there's better language you could be using, then replace it with that language. So for example, I say, Byron, I would love to reach $1 million in business this next year, but I can't really, I don't know if I can do that. And then I say that, and I recognize it as soon as it's coming out of my mouth and my words. I say, wait a second, I don't want to live in that reality. I don't want to continue to create that mindset and that paradigm that I've had that would have me say that. So what do I do now? Oh, that's right. I shift it. I shift it to the exact opposite. I say something that is completely different. And you might think that it sounds like BS if I say, well, I'm definitely the type of person who makes $1 million a year, and I'm continuing to become that person. I'm continuing to evolve into that person, and I am the $1 million man. Right? You might think that because you said that, oh, well, you have to be earning $1 million. Otherwise, it's not true. And that's it's a place to come from that doesn't really serve us, right? A lot of people are living like that and existing in that paradigm. But what I've recognized is instead of having to see it and then you'll believe it, like a lot of people think, I got to see the car, I got to see the money in my bank account, I got to see the relationship, the woman has to land in my lap, and when I see her, then I'll know that she's the one for me, and then I'll take action on pursuing her. Instead of having that mindset of being reactional to life, instead you believe it and then see it. When you have your mindset dialed into the belief, to the way of being, how you show up in life, is that you've already got the $1 million, is that you've already landed this dream girl, your actions are different. Your emotions are different. Your thoughts are different. Your actions are different to produce a different reality. So to really watch your language, be aware of the words that you don't want to use, start noticing, take the next day, couple days, and listen. Where am I saying things that don't serve me? Do I say I don't know? Do I say but? Do I say ums and ahs and or anything, any kind of filler words? You can start being aware of when you're just filling the space and you're not present to your language, and you could simply pause and listen and think, what words are coming out of my mouth in this conversation? And pay attention. And when you pay attention, you can actually start shifting that language.
Oh, that's incredible. Mainly because people are not aware of how their thoughts trigger everything. And you think of how people become self-defeating just on the language they're using every single day. Think of how many times someone said the term like, oh, that was stupid. Like, oh, I'm an idiot, and so on and so on. And that becomes a new reality. I think one of my favorites is when people say, I'm such a klutz. Really?
Yep.
You have to program yourself to be that way.
Yep.
No one's born in this world like just falling over their feet.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong, like people have gotten to where they are today. I think there's a lot of guilt and shame and pain around the stuff that we don't like about ourselves. And the key to transcending that stuff that keeps us stuck is really not making any of it wrong, knowing that you're a human being and things happen and life isn't necessarily quote unquote perfect, or it doesn't happen exactly the way you want it to. And again, trust that it's all working out. Trust that life gets better and better every day. And here's a huge mindset shift that I had when I discovered that all we have is this present moment. The past is gone, right? Like we don't have that anymore. All we can live is this present moment. The future has yet to come. So all we have is this present moment. Why would I choose to be attached to any other moment? Why would I choose to be desiring or hungering for or wishing we were at some other place? I could be wishing that my business is already making $1 million a year. I could be wishing that I found the dream woman of my life. But that wishing and attachment and being stuck there instead of living in this present moment steals the joy from life. And it allows us to blame and escape this present moment, to be grateful for it right now, to love this moment, to use it as much as we possibly can. And a lot of people, even me in the past included, I used this present moment as an escape. I would escape from this present moment with partying, with drinking, whatever it might be, to be somewhere else, to not have to be present, to think about the future more, to think about the past more, to have a emotional or a visual brain experience that has me not be present. And I thought that was better for some reason, because I stopped feeling, or I stopped remembering how small I was, how much of a victim I was, how powerless I was, how much I really didn't like my life. But now I've learned to love and embrace and accept this present moment and really just utilize it to the utmost. And it's such a beautiful thing. So we created at Burn It Up Coaching, we declared that every day is the best day ever. Because if I'm going to be alive today, Byron, if I'm going to be alive, and everyone out there listening, if I'm going to be alive, I'm going to make sure that today is the best day ever. If I'm going to be alive, I'm going to expand my possibilities, expand my perspective, expand my viewpoint so that whatever is happening in the universe, in reality, around me, people around me, I'm opening myself up for the maximum chances of success. Because if I say today is an okay day, then I will continue to create okayness. I will continue to create mediocrity. I will continue to attract to me and think thoughts that are in alignment with, today's okay. Versus if I show up and I say today's the best day ever, there's a whole new field of possibilities and perspectives that I can come to today with. For example, I can say today's okay. I'm at Starbucks, I'm working, people around me, yeah, they're kind of annoying. Get my work done, go home, go to sleep. Or I can be at Starbucks and say today's the best day ever. I wonder what's going to happen. And then Jim Carrey walks in the door, the next thing I know, and I go up and I say hi to him, and I get to meet Jim Carrey. I take a selfie with him, and it's amazing stuff, right? So just because I say today's the best day ever, I literally start creating and attracting those kinds of situations and opportunities, like Jim Carrey walking through the door, like me meeting my next business partner, like me meeting someone who can change my life, like me discovering that one thing that's going to make the difference in my business. So it's so important for me to show up in a way that says today's the best day ever. I'm so grateful for today. I'm so excited for all the possibilities of today. And here's the thing. It might be difficult when you're having a terrible day, a bad day, a day that you just don't like and it's not going the way you want to. You had a flat tire, still the best day ever. I had a flat tire a couple weeks ago, and I took a picture on Instagram and said, still the best day ever. Why? Because I'm alive. Why? Because I have a car. Why? Because things are working out perfectly. And I don't know why I got that flat tire, but maybe it was an opportunity to still be grateful for what I do have. So today is the best day ever. And if things are going really, really, really bad, like you're losing a loved one, your marriage is falling apart, you're upside down in debt, you're about to get your house taken away, that's when it's most difficult to really stick to this perspective, to be a stand for this perspective. But what I've learned is when we are an unconditional liver of life versus being a conditional reactive liver, and that means that life happens to you and then it brings down your day, you go down in this downward spiral, you self-sabotage, yada, 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 versus an unconditional liver of life. You show up and you're so grateful just to be alive. You practice these habits. You've ingrained the habits and the paradigm and the mindset of being an unconditional, full-fledged liver of life. Then that's when life really starts to transform for you. Your results in life, in the universe, God, people around you, whatever, show up in a way that says, Chris, you know what? You've been doing the work. Byron, you've been doing all these great things. You've really been dedicated. You've really been committed to living like this. And no matter what we threw at you, you were still able to hold on and claim that power that you're the creator of your reality, and claim that power that you say how it goes. So for that, here's your gem. Here's your gem of a raise at work. Here's your gem of a new client or a new breakthrough in your business, or financial windfall. You just get a breakthrough in your finances, whatever it is, because you kept being that person who, regardless of the chaos that's going on around you, you show up in a way that says, nope, this is what I'm creating and I will not back down. And that's what the best day ever is. When things are going terrible, when people are dying, when someone, you just found out someone got cancer, how do you still stand in that position of today's the best day ever, and just gratitude, right? Coming with this enormous gratitude that you're alive, coming with this enormous gratitude that you've had that time to spend with this person, coming with this enormous gratitude that you have a business, that you help people, that you make a difference in the world, is really what will just create this emotional mastery that nothing can knock you off your track. Nothing can derail you, because you're just so grounded and centered and present in who you are and what you're committed to. And you don't let the emotions and events of life run the show. You run the show. This is your game. You make up the rules.
That's incredible, mainly because people don't understand the power of positivity, of how it impacts things, of that you attract what you want in life. I think a great example is when people are in a room somewhere and you see that one person walk in and just the whole energy of the room drops down, like, ugh, what just walked in? And you see that person oh, it's that
Yep.
guy.
Yep.
And everything changes for the negative because they have that feeling of it's dread, is doom, the world's going to implode around them, compared to when some people walk in rooms like, whoa, it just got bright in here, because they're upbeat, they have that best day ever mentality, and they're
Yeah.
looking for how to make even better every single moment. It shifts everything.
Yes. Yes, and something I know about you, Byron, is your energy is incredible. And you said we were talking the other day, and you're like, I can go, from 4 or 5 or 6 in the morning all the way till 10 at night, and not need caffeine, not need these stimulants. I believe a lot of that is, number one, because you take care of your diet and your well being, you eat the proper foods, but also because you've worked on your mentality and your mindset. Say more about that. Like, how do you show up and make every day your best day ever?
So for me, my whole skill set, or the way I like to do it, comes down to how I start the day. It's
Mm,
beginning with a little bit of quiet meditation, thinking about what I'm going to accomplish, the things I'm going to impact, the
yeah.
people I'm going to come across, how can I influence others, and starting with journaling, exercising. All of these things become a core part of the beginning of the day. So it's all about me. And one of the
Mm,
simplest things I do, it seems, I don't want to say basic, but it's really powerful, and that's making my bed in the morning. Even though sometimes
mm,
it's like, I really don't feel like doing it. At least I know that I'm starting my day off getting something done. That's an accomplishment. So
yeah.
it builds momentum throughout the entire day. That way, also at the
Yeah.
end of the day too, it's nice to go and look at your bed and go, oh, it's nice and made, versus this big pile of whatever laying on top of, like, all right, I guess somebody eat an existence and crawl into it at night.
Yep. Yep.
So,
Absolutely.
so
And I love what I love about that is it's the habits, number one, because our habits literally shape our world and our reality. If you don't have that consistency and long-term mindset of, I'm in this for life, I'm committed to this lifestyle. For me, I joined a network marketing company when I was 21. And when I joined, I was like, I'm going to make $1 million this year. And I've never made, like, I think at that point, more than probably 40,000 in a year. And I was like, I'm going to make $1 million. And I had this mindset that I was going to do it. And there was all this subconscious programming and stuff that I had to work through along the journey. And I made nowhere close to $1 million. Right. But it was that instant gratification that I was sold, because this mindset got placed in me. I wouldn't say from the Jim Rohn and the Darren Hardy and the Les Brown audiobooks who I listened to, but rather it was the people around me. It was what I saw with the 18-year-olds and 19-year-olds who had made 6 figures, right? Their first year or first 6 months or whatever it was. And so I was like, oh, I want that. If anything's possible, then I can totally earn $1 million this year. Let's go. But there was all the baggage that I had accumulated in life, all the shame, all the guilt, all the I'm a loser talk that I had built up to that point. And I started having to face the cold, hard reality of, I have to do this until. This is a lifestyle, not a, hey, slingshot, journey, or slingshot action, slingshot year, and then never have to work again. No, this is a lifestyle. This is a lifetime commitment of who I'm committing to show up as, who I'm telling everyone else I am. Because a lot of times I'll make big promises and say I'm going to fill Angel Stadium in Southern California with 45,000 people, and not know how to get that. And my mind every day is going to be like, dude, you're not going to do that. You can't do that. And on some things I do break my word. On some things I say I'm going to get this done, and I don't do it. And that's life. Life happens where you get derailed, you get knocked off, but it's all about getting back up after you do it. I've set many promises, many accountabilities, many tasks for myself, many goals that I didn't hit. And it's okay. I look at what I said, where I was coming from, how this vision was created, how this goal was created, and then ask myself, was that coming from the most empowering place possible? Who was I being when I made that commitment, that promise? And what can I do differently next time to really make sure that I have a structure in place for support? I have an accountability partner. I put it in my calendar. I dedicate the time. I time block. I remove the distractions. I throw out my TV so I don't use it instead of I don't use it, and I actually do the work that I said I was going to do. I don't work in my room, because when I work in my room, I lay on my bed and I fall asleep. Like, what are these things that stop you? What are the self-sabotaging behaviors that you can eliminate? How can you build the habit of success? Maybe it's writing every day. Maybe it's dedicating 30 minutes, an hour, or if you're in business, 6 hours, or whatever amount of time every single day to getting the work done. How can you design your life, create a structure, check in with someone every couple hours? You pick up the phone and literally dial people and say, here's what I accomplished in the last 3 hours. Just want to let you know I'm still going. Have a great day. What is it that you need? What is it that you require? What is going to make the difference for you in your structure, in your plan, in your strategy, so that you actually can achieve the goal? And that's what life's about. It's not about beating yourself up. Life is a journey of forgiveness. Life is a journey of saying, thank you. I'm so grateful that I learned the lesson. I'm so grateful that I have the big dreams and ambitions. And even if I didn't get there this time, what did I learn, and how will I continue moving forward? And it's that journey. It's that habitual mindset. Like, I'm building the habits of success, and also one step at a time. This is one step, one step, one step, one step. Every day is another step. Every day is another opportunity. If you got knocked off track, if you're in the moment and you know you got knocked off track, then recognize it, turn it around, pause, meditate, whatever it is that helps you get grounded and recentered. Breathing is also super powerful. Just like taking some deep breaths in and exhaling. Such a great way to reset your neurology in your system. So that's one big thing. So take a breath, get grounded, know that you can get back on track, go take a walk, go disconnect from whatever it is that you're doing. If you're feeling really exhausted or wound up or stressed out, whatever it might be, and then get back in it. And if it takes a day and you notice, dang, I spent this whole day, kind of messing around, and I didn't get what I wanted to done, and I'm totally off track. Okay, cool. So what's the lesson you learned? How can you let all that go? Breathe it out, go to the gym, whatever, get all of it out. If you're frustrated or whatever, go punch a punching bag or go do a dance class, whatever it might be. And then the very next day, I would recommend the night before, think about how your next day is going to be different. How are you going to set your next day up to be successful? How are you going to plan your day better? How are you going to make sure that your schedule is full? How are you going to get around the right people so that you can succeed? So I think that winning tomorrow starts by planning and preparing today. To win tomorrow, to succeed tomorrow, really start planting the seeds of greatness. Reading for 10 minutes, journaling, whatever the habits, the self-development habits are that work for you, because there's no one size fits all. Everyone has a different routine. Everyone has different things that work for their schedule, for their mindset, for their way of living. And figure out what that is. Set yourself up for success. Keep taking one step at a time, and practice that forgiveness. Have gratitude that you're already there, even though you don't see it in your 3D reality around us. You can put yourself there in your mind, and when you live it and visualize it in your mind, your brain practically knows no difference between actually living and experiencing it. They did an experiment where there was 3 groups of people who were shooting basketballs, right? One group actually shot basketballs, three-pointers or whatever, 53 pointers, and had a certain level of making it. And they would practice on shooting better and better three-pointers for 6 weeks. Another group only did it in their mind. And they would do that, practice, getting better and better only in their mind. And of course, they had the control at the beginning, which is like, hey, where's your baseline? And then at the end, after shooting it in their mind, only shooting the baskets in their mind, at the very end, they shot real baskets again, and they saw that there was an improvement, and it was like marginally different, not that much different than a couple % off from the people who actually had shot the baskets and the free throws. And then there's also a group of people who didn't shoot at all, and of course they stayed the same, right? So it's, if you practice it in your mind, if you visualize it in your mind, you will get better. It will activate neural patterns, your thoughts, your thought patterns. When you think of success, when you think of the word success, a certain image pops up in your mind, certain feelings come over your body. You feel them in your body. When you think of the word money, an image pops up in your mind. You have certain feelings in your body. So what you and I and Byron and everyone around us, we have to be responsible for is the existing programming that we have within us. that have been placed there and put there and drilled there by our parents, by media, by society, by our friends, by our school education, by our work. All these things have been programmed into us. So being aware of that is the first step. Hey, what are my limiting beliefs? What's keeping me stopped? What's keeping me stuck? And then shifting that into a more empowering vision. You design the vision, you know where you want to be in 6 months, a year, whatever. You have that vision, you keep living it and playing it in your mind, and you keep reinforcing this new person who you are. It's not about the vision. It's not about earning $1 million. It's not about finding this dream woman. It's not about having kids. It's not about traveling the world. That's not what it's about. It's about who you become in the process of achieving that goal. Jim Rohn says this. It's about who you become. It's not about the destination. It's about who you become along the journey. That is really the gift and the joy and the prize of life. So know who you're becoming. Get clear on that vision. Live that in your mind. Believe it. Then you'll see it. Take one step at a time, one action, one action, one action. If you get knocked off track, forgive yourself. Go through whatever your process is to heal, to release, to disconnect. Take the night off if you just feel like you're in a terrible place or you're just not happy. Take the night off. Go do something that you enjoy. Go to a spa. Go to the gym. Go get a massage. Go whatever. Talk to your friends. Hang out with your friends. Whatever it is that you use to nurture yourself and take care of yourself. Do those things. And then get right back in it. Set yourself up for success the next day and get right back in it.
Oh, no, that is perfect. It sounds like through this process, especially when it comes to goals, you've made it a habit to set larger goals, and then sometimes you achieve them and then sometimes you don't hit them. But you've given yourself permission that it's okay. If you don't hit it, it's still better than not doing anything at all or setting really low goals and you actually achieve those.
Yeah. Yeah, because I'm committed to living a very, 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 very big life.
Yeah,
I'm committed to living big, man. If I have one life, I'm gonna make it count. I'm gonna go out with a bang, so to speak, and make sure that my time was well invested. And I'd rather tell people, with the intention of backing it up, of course, with the intention of integrity, authenticity. I'd rather tell people that I'm going to impact billions of people's lives. I'm going to earn billions of dollars. I'm going to be massively successful, create entire industries because of who I am. I'd rather tell people that and miss the mark and come up with a life where I've earned, tens of millions of dollars or hundreds of millions of dollars and impacting millions of people's lives or tens of millions or hundreds of millions. I'd rather do that and come up a little bit short than to play so small that I say, oh, well, I just hope I impact 100 people's lives in my lifetime. Like that. If that happened, then I'd be happy. Good. Be happy with that. That's a great first step. And that is not all you're really capable of in this lifetime. I promise you, 100 people, that can be done in like a week if you wanted to. Honestly,
Right.
Like if you went out there and you serve some homeless people, like you could impact 100 people's lives and have conversations with them and really get connected with people. The mindset of, I know this stopped me too. The mindset of it has to be big or else I'm not doing it has stopped me. Right? Because I was like, oh, I have to make $1 million or it's not good enough. Right? That has stopped me to the point where I didn't take any action, to where I was paralyzed with fear, paralyzed with guilt and shame that I wasn't anywhere close to that. So yes, it's important to have big goals. It's also important to be reasonable. It's also important to, I don't want to say reasonable because I don't want people being like average and reasonable trying to fit in like that, but be generous with what you give yourself in terms of expectations, right? I think there's a quote that says, we totally overestimate what we can do in a year and underestimate what we can do in 10 years. So what can you do in 10 years that would really inspire you, that would make the difference? And then how can you break that down into a single year? What do you want to accomplish within the next year so that you would be on track to hit that 10-year goal? And a lot of people think that growth is linear. So if you want to hit the 10-year goal of $10 million, then you have to earn $1 million a year. 1 million times 10 is 10 million. But that's not how life works. A lot of life is exponential. you might spend the first 6-7 years really just grinding it out and not having fun and learning and removing your subconscious limiting beliefs and working day in, day out and weekly with coaches, whatever it might be. And then finally on that 7th year, you get to 6 figures. The 8th year, you get to 500,000. The 9th year, you got to 1 million. The 10th year, you get to like 2 million or 3 million. If you didn't hit the 10 million, okay, like you didn't hit the 10 million. You learned. You had to get through a lot of junk that you were holding on to, that your mind had, that your subconscious had, these blind spots, self-sabotaging beliefs, and unconscious programming. You had to get through all that. But think about the person who you became in pursuit of that goal. That person who you became is so much more valuable than the actual goal of hitting $10 million. So that's why I often, when we're talking to our clients, and especially the people who are about to become clients for Burn It Up Coaching, we ask them, like, why do you want to achieve this goal? Because it's not so much about the goal itself. It's about the why. It's about the emotional attachment. It's about why your soul wanted to have this experience in this lifetime. What does that mean for you? Why is that important? Does it fulfill your value of growth? Does it fulfill your value of connection with human beings? Does it fulfill your value of being acknowledged and admired? Does it fulfill your value of making a difference, making a contribution? What is the reason why this drives you? And the more often we can ask ourselves these questions and get tuned in and dialed into what motivates us and drives us, our values, the easier it is to say yes to the things that are in alignment with our greatest possible self, our GPS, and the easier it is to maintain our boundaries and say no to the people and the things and the opportunities that do not resonate with us, that are not in alignment with that greatest possible self, with that vision of who we're committed to becoming. But it takes a continued looking at who we're committed to becoming. It takes a continual refocusing on who do I need to become? What actions will I be taking? How will I show up? How will people relate to me? How will people talk to and think about me? When I show up in a room, what happens? When I'm that kind of a person who can earn, 2 million or 10 million a year, when I'm that kind of person who attracts my dream man, dream woman, whatever it is, like, how do I show up in a room? How do people talk about me when I leave the room? What are people saying when I leave the room? I'm committed to being a person who, when I leave a room, people are like, oh my gosh, that dude is awesome. I'm so grateful I got to meet him. I'm so excited about the possibilities for the future with this guy or for him or whatever. This dude's awesome. Like I want people feeling like that. And even better, I want people feeling like they were heard and listened to, and that they're the most important person on the planet. Whenever I'm with people, talking to people, I am so dialed in. I'm so present. I'm so locked into gazing into their soul, connected with them, because they're the only thing that matters at that time. Anything else is a distraction. And if I need to be jumping on a call, or I'm thinking about texting someone or whatever it might be, then I let them know, hey, I'm expecting a call in 5 minutes. So I'm going to be here with you right here, right now, and for the next 5 minutes. And I just want to set that proper expectation up front, versus what a lot of people do is try to, finagle their way around and manipulate and avoid kind of just saying what it is to say, and kind of doing the uncomfortable, ripping the Band-Aid off first. A lot of people avoid that. And it's so much easier just to say it up front, get it over and done with, and then move on with the conversation, move on with the enjoyable part of things.
Excellent. That is extremely powerful, because the more that we focus in on the way and the person we must become, the easier it gets, because then we are allowing ourselves to be bigger than we are. Because so many people, they get stuck in this notion of comfort. Like, well, if I just do these things, I'm comfortable. Well, I'd rather be uncomfortable and establish a new level of achievement, because then you think about it this way: which is it better, to stay comfortable your whole life and never do anything, so the only thing you know is the box you live in, or become uncomfortable and you give yourself a bigger box to play in?
Yes. And, comfort, like you were saying, comfort is the enemy of achievement. And here's the thing: if you want to stay in your own box and live at that level and kind of live your life like that, hey, there's nothing wrong with that. People do it all the time. Go you. If that's what you enjoy, if that's what you think you enjoy, if that's what you want, by all means, it's your life. You get to choose, not us, right? But for a lot of people, I think they delude themselves that they want to stay at home and be alone, and they want to, just watch TV all the time. They want to, just kind of do the same old stuff, fit in, go out and party, whatever it is, right? A lot of people think that, but in reality, in the background of their mind, they know that there's something more to life. There's more for them available. For you out there listening, if there's more available to you in life, step up to the plate, ask, challenge yourself, right? This place of challenging yourself is not comfortable, but I have been amazing at challenging myself. I see that now looking back on my life. I've challenged myself to get outside of my comfort zone. I went up to a college, Fullerton College, Cal State Fullerton in Southern California. I asked 50 women, attractive women, for their phone numbers by just, walking around campus and walking up to random women and asking them for their phone numbers. I didn't care whether or not I got the phone number. In fact, I didn't even stick around long enough to find out. I would just hear their response and say, oh, no, I'm just kidding. I'm doing an exercise, and keep going on my way, right? But I had the courage and the audacity, the willingness to get uncomfortable so that I could have that victory, that triumph over the past of being a shy, introverted person, and also thinking that I wasn't that good looking and that nobody really wanted to talk to me. I wasn't valuable, yada, yada, yada. And after hearing multiple women saying yes, like, okay, well, here's my number, or they start pulling out their phone or whatever it might be, it's like, wow, like I totally had this all backwards.
Right.
That's completely not how life is. And so there's that. There's, doing push-up challenges. There's being able to jump into a freezing cold pool in the morning and go swim around, or a cold shower, or whatever it might be. Push yourself outside of your comfort zone. Go to the party or to the event or to the seminar or whatever that you would have never gone to in the past. But challenge yourself to go see what's out there. Challenge yourself to broaden your perspectives, to open yourself up to the gifts that life is attempting to give to you. And we just keep saying no because it's like we're set in our ways, we're set in our patterns, and that's kind of how life gets. We just get into this pattern, we get into this groove. And there's so much joy and goodness in life when we go outside of the norm, when we challenge our brain into a new situation or circumstance, like learning a new instrument or a new habit or whatever it might be, or a new language. Like that challenges ourselves. It's uncomfortable, but the value that we get because of it is immeasurable, and it'll have profound, long-lasting effects of what we are willing to do and how much we're willing to stretch ourselves and get outside of our comfort zone and take bigger and bigger action, take more risk, but also receive much, much more reward. And we actually get better at handling the risk, at processing emotionally and mentally the risk that is even the perceived risk. Because a lot of risk happens where it's like, oh, well, what happens if I fail? Oh, well, I'll spiral downward and I'll get kicked out of my house and I'll lose my marriage and yada, yada, yada. And we tend to focus on that risk and what could go wrong versus what could go right. How could this really make a difference for me? And staying locked onto that vision of what you're committed to and why you would take this action, why you would get outside of your comfort zone in the first place. So it's amazing. It's an amazing opportunity to really step out and challenge yourself. I love challenging myself. I challenge you right now to actually take what you've heard in this podcast about shifting your language, about really challenging yourself, about setting big goals, about forgiving yourself, and anything else that we've talked about. I challenge you, within the next couple minutes while we begin wrapping up, is that I challenge you to start implementing it. I challenge you to put something in your calendar. I challenge you to write something down. I challenge you to take a moment and really do something with the advice and the guidance and the wisdom, the life experience that Byron and I have shared with you so that it actually makes a difference. So do that right now as we begin wrapping up, and think what's the gold nugget? What's the one thing that I really want to take away from this podcast so that it actually makes a difference in my life? I challenge you to do that. And I challenge myself and Byron to keep stepping our game up, from now on every podcast, on everything that we do. And that's our public accountability. I'm committed to it. I know Byron's committed to it. So we're stepping it up too with you.
Oh, that's awesome. It's perfect timing as we are definitely wrapping it up. I think I love that whole sequence of things. But what is one thing that you recommend people do today that can dramatically impact their lives? Because so many people, they're focused on trying to do everything under the sun instead of the true way to mastery is you have to focus on one thing until mastery. So what is that one thing?
Yeah. So the one thing is it's a great mindset, and it really makes a difference when we believe in it and align with it. And there's a lot of people who are at different places in their life, and my one thing may not be your one thing. But what I would recommend is take on more leadership opportunities and abilities. One of the biggest things that I've seen make a difference for me is I joined Toastmasters years and years ago, and when I got in, one of the first things I did was started staying later, coming earlier, networking with the members, and that led me into my first position I think within the first 2 or 3 months of secretary. I became the secretary of the club, and this is a pretty prestigious club, a great club running, the smooth running, gears are greased kind of thing, and it's very productive and powerful. And so I took on this leadership opportunity in the club of secretary, where I was taking notes, and I learned more about Toastmasters, what it's all about, how to show up and get more training and stuff. And I did that for 6 months, and then the very next thing was to become the vice president of education for the club. And what that means is I basically ran the club. I scheduled all the members. I made sure I knew where people were with their manuals, with their projects that they were working on, with what they wanted to get out of the club. I was essentially the hub of the entire group, Toastmasters Club. And I was like, wow, this is intense. But I loved it because I grew so much. And for me, I love being important. I love being valued. So everyone valued me and wanted to talk to me more because I was this vice president of education. So I was like, sweet, win-win, And then finally I became the president of the club. And that was more of just the leadership, the guidance of the club. So the reason why I say that is because I grew so much from stepping up as a leader. And you out there listening, step up your leadership capabilities, whether it's stepping up in a Facebook group and you talk to the administrator, the person who founded the group, or you found your own, you create your own. Step up and ask for additional responsibilities. If you you have your own Facebook group, step up and ask members to take on responsibilities themselves, right? That's being a great leader, is learning how to delegate, learning how to add someone into the team so that you can produce more results. That's great leadership. Step up when you're at seminars, when you're at events, if you're going to local events, whatever it might be. Ask if you can volunteer. Ask if you can come early. Ask if you can stay later and help and set up and do different things. Go out and volunteer your time. Step up as a leader and ask the people around you, is there any way I can support you? Is there anything you're struggling with? Care about what people are dealing with and be a support for them. Know that you have life wisdom and experience and things to add, valuables to offer that will make a difference for you, for other people. So know that the one thing that I would really recommend is to step up your vision of yourself in the communities around you. Step up your leadership, challenge yourself to get outside of your comfort zone, take on new responsibilities, whether it's, being the PTA, president for your kids, or stepping up in additional ways to drive business, or creating a club, a culture of success, whatever, at work, whatever that is for you, figure it out. Take the step and be a bigger leader, because that's where all the magic really lies. That's where opportunities will just start falling in your lap, and it's amazing.
Oh, that is awesome. Well, Chris, I want to thank you for coming into the podcast today and sharing so much of your wealth and wisdom about how you can transform your life by believing in yourself and taking actions that are bigger than what they were today. How can people learn more about what you do and reach out to you?
Absolutely. So if you want to send me an email, please, I would love to hear from you. You can email me at with chris@beyourgps.com. So again, that's Chris, CHRIS, at beyourgps.com. Feel free to send me an email. And then also you can find me on Facebook, facebook.com/TH3 Burns, like TH3, but a 3 instead of the E, and then Burns, my last name, BURNS. Facebook.com/TH3 Burns. You can always feel free to add me. My friends list getting pretty full, but send me a message and let me know you came from Byron, and I'd love to connect. And you can also visit us on the website and hear the podcast and just learn more about what we're doing at beyourgps.com. www.beyourgps.com. And I really look forward to connecting with you and getting to know you and helping you however I can.
Awesome. Well, definitely. Once again, thank you for coming onto the podcast today.
Thank you, Byron.
Thanks for listening to the Big Movement Podcast today. And be sure to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Now that you've surely been inspired to take your entrepreneurial career and business to the next level, you can stop by the website and get more. And if you're ready to boost your business brand, be sure to grab your free report, 7 Easy Steps to Build Your Brand Today.